wonder if my boss can reach over here.
We talked about an hour and a half ago. I have.
You know what I can do is I can call
Yeah.
Jared, why does it say live?
We're live.
I don't
Started early.
see anything.
You know, we love history. We do investigations. Yeah, of course. Our favorite thing to do is find. Just like
Yes, you guys can carve out a little
That's
bit.
good.
Yeah.
Because we're going to rotate that when we get a better video. We're not going to get a perfect video either. David Jones, hey Dave. Yeah.
Oh, there's you.
Yep, that's me. See? So as long as it has over that way, we're just getting set up here, guys. So there we go. So we're clicking that way. And then when we go do the video, we'll rotate the camera around. Capture that.
it's busy for us. Ed's got a October 15th. He's raising money. We got one running. I got one second.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Well, there is a fake history. If it were only here with some.
I just,
This is
Say somehow.
from
I just didn't.
George Washington, my father.
we can make this one as comments. I was just on. But when it rotates, it'll,
It'll let you know the color.
yeah. So I just.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go pound the baby.
We'll get started in about 5 minutes.
I'll kick it off if you want. Get this. If we're working early. That's because I really don't want music. But if they can get in there, they're happy with it.
Like all day if you could today to have some.
Now I picked this week. I'm going to find a national record. I took a COVID test last night because this is exactly what I had last year when I had COVID. I said, so I got in some years. And I got this like choosing where the weather started choosing and everything. And I'm like, come on, man. I said, "Okay, baby." I had like waking up in the morning, my first like at first it was closed off, but then I was like it's all going today. It's like listen to everything's up in the course and everything. And then I sit down and talk and it starts closing up again. Last night I actually slept in my seat because of all the humidity. So I just want to clear something if I go to Nashville, that's all.
When are you going now?
Friday.
What are you going to?
The couple that we went to Key West with, they realized how much it is to take a trip without kids, so they're going to join us. Claire and I want to take 1 or 2 trips without kids anyway, so they wanted to do Nashville. I was like, yeah, we'll go back to Cleveland. We did Nashville last time. Everything was squeezed into like 2 days. Like, we did Nashville in 2 days.
You fly, right? Oh, okay.
It's like the holidays. We got to do this for the football game down. So right now the place where we at rises and college doesn't go to Salt Lake City. We may drive because flights are expensive. Like they were cheaper but we may drive.
But not has been an issue being they have been like, you know, what we're only talking about.
Yeah, that's what everyone says about it. Who is it? National. And I'm part of the Emerald Club. So I just reserved my size. Wait in. Any car now. Hey folks, how's it going?
Hello. It's really high up though.
That was
There we
fun.
go. He doesn't hear you.
We're called so you reserve a mid-sized car and you have to do that in Ohio and any car in Ohio you get for that price. Whether it's a
Even if
truck,
it's a different size.
yeah, truck, SUV, whatever. Like there was a couple, there was a guy, one at the top, full-size SUV, and they had a minivan that you were getting for a mid-sized car. Like, no, we need some more. I was like, this seats as many people, and they were dead set that they needed that.
They didn't want the minivan, that's
So
why.
they wanted have get a refund on the car, which that takes a couple days, and to get the I just paid over $500 for a rental, and you had one. I am disappointed because when we go down to Florida, I don't get tinted windows because of sun being there.
Right. Yeah, people are ridiculous.
He watches live. When we were at the house, he fell asleep the second time and then I think he came up at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Folks, if I can get your attention,
We got a
please.
refund on the place.
We're going to get started with the official program in a minute. But before we do that, I wanted to make a couple of announcements. Let you all know what we've got coming up in the next couple of months at the Historical Society. Let me thank you all for coming out on a rainy October day, the first day of October, which usually lends into some spooky goings on. So I guess in a way we're kicking off the spookiest month of the year with this program. So thank you all for attending. Thanks to the coverage in the Sentinel. Looks like we're going to have a packed house. So thank you, Sentinel. My name is Sean Gladden. I'm the Executive Director here at the Cumberland County Historical Society. This is part of some programming that we're doing to finish off the year that, in addition to our mission-related programming that we do very well on the Indian School, various Carlisle and Cumberland County history discussions, we like to think a little bit outside of the box, and that's kind of what today's program is. And obviously, judging from the crowd, we've kind of hit a nerve with this one. We've got a couple other programs coming up that might be a little different from what you've seen at the Cumberland County Historical Society. On Thursday night, November the 3rd, as kind of a closeout to the sports exhibit that we have here in the museum, we will be doing a night with the Babe. There are flyers back where the refreshments are. We will basically be bringing up from Baltimore the Babe Ruth Birthplace Museum. They'll be coming up with a number of artifacts, 19th century baseball artifacts, but also some artifacts pertaining to Babe Ruth. We will be serving hachi dogs for kind of seems like if you're going to do a baseball program in Carlisle, it seems like hachi dogs kind of going to be on the menu. So Cracker Jacks, hachi dogs, we're going to get some beer from Molly Pitcher Brewing Company. So we're going to have one last night to celebrate baseball and our sports exhibit. If you are a member of the Historical Society, a $40 ticket gets you all you can eat, all you can drink, an opportunity maybe to handle a few Babe Ruth artifacts, and to hear a really great lecture on 19th century baseball. If you're not a member, it's $50, which makes being a member has its value. So if you're not currently a member of the Howard County Historical Society, please consider joining. If you are a member, today was free for you. And we're going to do a lot more programs like this that'll be free for members. So, and membership does help us keep the lights on, so please consider it an annual membership. The other program that we have will be, it's like I also teach college history, and this is what I do whenever I hear a phone. It's okay. Mine's probably going to go off in a second. The other event that we have coming up is we are partnering with the West Shore Historical Society at the newly renovated West Shore Theater in New Cumberland for a comedy benefit. Historically inappropriate comedy. It'll be on Labor Day evening, so it'll be Friday evening, November the 11th, and every one of the comics is a United States veteran. So that should be an interesting benefit. All proceeds going to benefit both the Historical Society here in Carlisle, the Cumberland County Historical Society, and then also the West Shore Historical Society. So, also as executive director, obviously I've got to promote other things that we have here on our campus, and we have a wonderful gift shop, History on High. And if you do like the supernatural, we have 3 copies left of Supernatural Lore of Pennsylvania. So if you are interested in getting one of these last 3 copies, see myself or Kim Laidler. Kim, who is the director of our gift shop. Now on to the main event. Ladies and gentlemen, paranormal and history enthusiasts alike, my name is Sean Gladden, and I am the Executive Director of the Cumberland County Historical Society. It is my honor to introduce today's very special presentation on the paranormal investigation of one of the buildings under our purveyance, the Oddfellows building. I will be providing a brief history of the building and a background on the Oddfellows organization before introducing Pasadena Paranormal, who will be presenting their findings from their investigation in July. I've been working in the museum field for over 20 years. I can remember being an intern working for the Maryland Historical Society and having to change high-growth thermographs in our Enoch Pratt house, and feeling very uneasy as I moved about that vacant property. The feeling that I was not alone while hearing numerous creaks throughout the building is something that I'll never forget. As a museum professional and a historian, I've found myself in numerous properties over the years and have experienced things that I just can't simply explain. Electrical anomalies, strange sounds, and feelings. As a skeptic to the paranormal, my experiences have always left me with an understanding that are things in our world that I just simply don't understand. As the executive director of the Howard County Historical Society in Ellicott City, Maryland, a town that prides itself on its haunted past, I met Jared Tracy and his team at Pasadena Paranormal when they approached us to do an investigation of our Weir house and museum, which was located in an 1880s Presbyterian church. Their findings were fascinating. Knowing nothing about the history of the properties, they provided findings, mainly names, heard over their Echovox equipment. Am I saying that right? Echovox, yes. That we were able to connect to prior inhabitants. They were true professionals whose dedication to their process was impressive. When I accepted the job here in Carlisle, it didn't take long for Jared to reach out to me to figure out what we had here. In July, we arranged for Jared and his team to investigate our Oddfellows Hall. We have provided full histories of the buildings for all attendees on the table in the back. Each of you got a packet when you came in. We do offer tours of these Oddfellow buildings, but those have closed up for the season. They won't resume again until February of next year. Once again, free for members. The packet provided does give a detailed history with some pictures. If you are not already a member of the Historical Society, please consider joining to get updates and discounts on that tour and all of our other offerings. Now, the story of the Oddfellows Hall. The International, and I'm reading an excerpt from the packet that was given. The International Order of Oddfellows, originally founded in Baltimore in 1818, came to Carlisle in 1843. They met at 2 different locations in Carlisle until 1854, when they began renting space in the Trout Building on High Street. William Trout was a member of the order and provided space on the 3rd floor of his property on High Street for the organization to meet, according to an article published in 1914 in the Sentinel. The rental arrangement continued until 1895, when the Oddfellows purchased the building following the death of Trout's widow. In 1914, the organization did extensive renovations to the building, including major changes to the Lodge Hall on the 3rd floor. The Lodge Hall interior was decorated with murals by local artist John Braun. The large stained glass window in the front gable on the facade must have been very impressive. The 1st and 2nd floors of the building were used as commercial space. In 1928, the entire front facade of the building was removed, and the current neo-Gothic design was erected. At this time, the Lodge Hall was extensively renovated and revised the 1914 sepia murals to include color. The Oddfellows sold the building to Pearson Miller and Robert Frey in 1960, but continued to use the space on the 3rd floor until 1991. The Cumberland County Historical Society acquired the building in late 2004. At that time, the space on the first floor was rented to Subway, $5 footlong fame, in the western third of the building. Miller's office space was in the center, and a ballet supply shop was located in the eastern section. Elizabeth Rhodes wrote a detailed history of the Oddfellows organization for a 2005 edition of the Society's Journal. In it, she not only tells about the history of the specific Carlisle organization, but she also gives information about the broader history of the organization and the meanings of many of the symbols used by them. A careful reading of her article explains the meaning of some of the murals depicted by John Brutt on walls and ceiling of the third floor meeting room. This includes biblical stories of the friendship of Jonathan and David and the story of the Good Samaritan. Some of the murals clearly depict the sacrifice of Isaac by his father, Abraham. So having said all of that, giving you a brief background, now it's time to look at the paranormal. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to Jared Tracy, who will take over the rest of the presentation. Jared.
Who likes new stuff? So, Pasadena Paranormal has been in the investigation field for about 25 years. I've been doing this since I was 16. And we'll get into our start and how we started. I found my father. He was dead with a needle in his arm. And I was at the graveyard and cleaning off his grave, and I seen him leaning up against my car. And he gave me a head nod. I was 16 years old. And I said, you know what? From that point forward, I got to figure out how this happened.
Could you speak a little louder?
I'm trying. Louder?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Testing.
Thank you.
So that's what started us started me on my path. And we ran into Sean, and we did some investigations out at Ellicott City, and we were very excited to get out here to the Oddfellows. I'll let Ed elaborate on his feelings as he walked in.
Hey everyone, how you guys doing? Can you guys hear me like this? Or do I use it? Okay, great. It's kind of like my voice. So, excuse my voice, I got a sinus thing going on. It's not COVID, I took a test, I promise. You guys are clear. So anyway, basically, my role in the group is kind of as a sensitive. I get the spidey senses, as I call them, like, hey, I feel this, I feel that. A lot of times, what I feel is documented through the devices that we use, and we get answers back with it, it relates back. Most of the time when we walk into a building, I walk in blind. I don't read nothing on the building or anything like that. I just know that, oh, hey, it's an Oddfellows Hall. What little bit I know about Oddfellows Hall from doing another one in the past is I know they put a skeleton somewhere in the building. That's all I know. Yeah. Other than that, I have no idea what I'm walking into. Jared sees the buildings before I do. Sometimes I might see some pictures or something like that, but we walked in, and has anybody been in the building before here? Okay, so go group of you. So when you walk in the building, you know how you climb up them steps, you hit the landing, and then you go up the other set of steps before you get to the actual hall. We're walking up the steps, and as soon as we hit that first landing, I looked at Jared and said, we need to put a camera right here. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, we need to put a camera right here. And Jared's like, all right, I'll go with you. We walk upstairs, I'm like, oh, there's definitely something in here.
And you'll see on the, we got 8 clips from our investigation that we're going to share with you. So you'll see why the camera was set there. Pretty cool situation that's happening.
Yeah, basically, I mean, it hasn't been the first time we've been in one place before where Jared's like, oh, we need to put the camera this way. I'm like, no, you don't. And he's like, well, they say, I'm like, no, I don't care what they say. It needs to go over here. Complete 180 from where it was. And we got our best evidence that night from where I said put the camera at. So there's definitely stuff in this building. I mean, it's not Hollywood stuff. It's real stuff that you guys will see.
I like to call it letting Ed's freak fly. But you'll see right here. This is the speakeasy. This is what this is Chris. Right? You told us this was the speakeasy, correct? Chris?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Remember when we did the walkthrough?
no, I never said it was a speakeasy.
Oh,
I-
so-
It said there's a speakeasy door.
Oh.
Because there's a door with a little.
That's the one
peephole.
Desiree's talking about, it's on the backside.
The little people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, you'll see, now, when we're doing review, I did the review on this myself. Each video that comes from the camera is 10 minutes long. Right? So, I'm sitting there for 4 videos in a row with nothing going on. And all of a sudden, I know my team is in the Great Hall, and this happens. We have volume. Is there volume on the show? So basically.
You guys are gonna hear footsteps if you can't tell.
Is the volume? Yeah, so, yep, so what happens in this, like I said, all of us are in the Great Hall, and we hear footsteps walking up the hall. And
Speak up.
It's just
Speak up.
heavy- It's just heavy footsteps coming up the stairs, and we had a video that we did that was the start of the investigation that we put on our YouTube channel, and it was the same sound of my feet walking up the steps as the non-person walking up the steps. Very interesting. Also, there later on in this presentation, Jackie, my fiance over there, and Desiree were in the kitchen area, and we all know that the Oddfellows was a gentleman hall, right? Gentleman's group. And Jackie reacts to something touching her leg, and through our ghost box, which is a radio that sweeps through radio stations, doesn't have an antenna, can't get radio lead, it said, "Oh, that felt good." And once we get the sound fixed, you'll be able to hear that as well.
I'll touch on something real quick. So when we set up our equipment, one of the things we want to look for is potential reflective surfaces. So if you look at this room here, if you've been in here, it's a room at the very top of the stairs, and you make the look to walk through. You can see we have these large windows right here. So the problem we had here is we have this doorway, we have a doorway over here. Where do we set the camera to capture everything? And we want to make sure that we can avoid any light. So our concern was this here is actually on the back side of this building as well. Any cars that are back there, headlights pulling in, things like that, we have to take into account
There's
for.
also a nice big street light over.
Yeah, we have a street light there. I mean, you see a little bit of a reflection going on right here. And we use the IR light, which will bounce off of that reflection and feed back into the camera. And you're just looking at a bright light. I mean, you can basically throw out all your evidence except for sound at that point. And we want to capture both sound and visual evidence if we can with this. So we made sure to set the camera back up in the corner of the room and angle it so we can capture both of the doors while eliminating that interference from the external light source or reflection coming back on it. Another problem we have, is if you've been in there, is in the Great Hall, it sits right on the main road. And you have, are there bars out there? I don't know. It was late. Were there bars or whatever? Yeah, a lot of people walking the street that night.
Oh, yeah.
Businesses, restaurants, whatever's going on. And it was very warm up there. So we had a fan running to cool us off. But then, of course, one of the things is, oh, I heard somebody scream in the background. Well, there's a lot of girls walking around laughing and joking. And it could be one of the girls out there, or one of the guys screaming or, doing something.
We do have a clip, though, where we're in the Great Hall and we hear some yelling, and it is not captured by any other camera but the one that was in my hand. And there was also another camera that was literally 12 feet behind me. So in the paranormal field, they say spirit picks who it wants to communicate with. So in that instance, that spirit wanted to communicate with that camera, because the other camera that has the same exact audio setup didn't capture. Very interesting things.
What's up with that volume?
So hopefully we can get this volume up because these steps are very, very loud. You can tell that it's a hard sole shoe, maybe a boot of some sort.
Is your volume up on your
Yeah,
computer?
my volume's up. All right, so while Blair's working on that, we will be putting out a 2-part documentary for this. See, there's the part right there where Jackie's leg get touched. It's inside the kitchen area. If you look right here, this is where they would have kept the coffin and the skeleton. The skeleton wasn't there, but I think that was taken by somebody after they closed up. Work with us, folks. We'll get it eventually. Hopefully. But like I said, we'll be doing a 2-part documentary. There's also I did the reviews of that, and there was nobody coming up them steps about, I had 6 videos after there was nobody there. Those are one of those times where, people I hear footsteps in my house, and you don't really get to capture those all that, they're very rare to get them on investigation. We got them out at Ellicott City. We've gotten a few other places, but that was boots. That was boots walking up them steps.
And one of the problems too is with this, we were able to eliminate where everybody was.
Mm-hmm.
Other times when we investigate, we're spread out throughout the location. So it's hard to determine like, oh, was that so-and-so walking or whatever. It takes a lot to debunk the information out there and take it out. Because easily somebody walking on one side of the house could make a sound on another one, especially these older buildings, the boards creaking and everything like that. So with this one, we can say, hey, this is 100%, definitely footsteps in the building, a sound that should not have been made at the time because we were able to account for where everybody was and there was no outside influence to make this happen.
And I put our review process up against anybody. The way that we document our evidence, there's 3 of us that do the review. Me, Ed, and Brent. He's in South Carolina today. He's actually on the chat with everybody in there. Hey, Brent. But our review process, all 3 of us have to agree with the evidence before it goes out to people. So we debated over this one, and it's paranormal to us. So the next.
You touch me on.
have a mini mag light, right? You know the mag light, you twist it, the light comes on, right? So we have a mini mag light set up right here. And the theory behind the mini mag light is you where just the contact is not touching, and spirit can touch and complete the circuit, turning the light on, taking it away to turn it off. So we like to use light on yes, light off no, right?
Yeah, well, the mag light's kind of like my specialty thing.
Yeah.
I think it's what I brought to the group, from seeing on Ghost Hunters and things like that. And also, actually, Desiree's in this. She's the leader of the other team that I'm a part of that got me kind of, as a regular investigator. She taught me how to do it too. And you kind of see right here, I have two lights here, and there's a wooden block here that's drilled out to hold each mag light. So that way they can't roll across the floor or anything. We get a flat surface to set it on. And there's, again, outside of influence, nothing, it can't roll or nothing like that. But basically you want to take it and set it like Jared said, so it barely touches. We try to use on for yes, off for no, or, not come on at all. When we ask the question, we wait, 30 seconds to a full minute for a response from it. Now, sometimes the light comes on and it stays on, and you're like, okay, what's going on here? Believe it or not, I know it sounds goofy when I say it, but you guys are somewhat into the paranormal because you're here, the light will stay on, and you'll be like, do you like the light being on? If so, turn the light off. And the light will turn off and come back on real quick. So then we swap what we're doing. We're like, okay, we'll turn the light off for yes, and then you can turn it right back on. So, unless we're getting a direct interaction to what we asked, if that light's just flashing on and off, we check the light to make sure that it's properly working. Jared has a light that he was using, and I was reviewing the evidence from one of our other locations, and the light was coming on, and I'm like, that's not really working with questions. And then I started timing it out, and it was every minute and a half, the light came on for 15 seconds and shut off. And it's always roughly the same time. So I'm like, okay, that light doesn't count there because it's not working. These here, we are able to get, on this night to interact with yes, no, come on and off as we want them to on demand. So it's not no external influence, it's spirit using the energy to make the light up.
Close the contact.
Yeah, close the contact and open it up.
Electronics. So here you have Jackie. Again, we're using, we call it the Pasadena Paranormal Ghost Box because we created this one. It's a radio that sweeps through radio stations real fast without an antenna. It gets no RF frequencies, and we put it to an echo delay pedal and a noise gate pedal for guitars. And you'll hear very clearly
No, you won't.
Hey, come on, thing. Well, Sean, we didn't have mine.
You didn't hit mute on the house speakers, did you?
I got it. Work with us, folks, I'm sorry. This one's very good as this one. Once we're able to hear this one almost made me spit my coffee out when I heard it. We documented the presence of a little girl inside the Oddfellows. One of our investigators that night, Desiree, also went to Gettysburg the next day to hang out with one of her famous picture readers. This woman reads pictures, and Desiree was showing her some of the pictures that she took that night, and she said that something bad happened to a little girl in that place. Something bad, and being a father, I don't like saying things like this, but the little girl was supposedly drowned, from what the reader was saying, and Desiree was feeling she's also a psychic or a sensitive like Ed, And she was feeling that there as well that night, that something bad has happened to a little girl. And once we get this sound fixed, you'll be able to hear the little girl. She says, we turn on the ghost box because we can't hear spirit 99% of the time with our ears. We do hear them. It's called DVP, direct voice phenomena. Most of the time, that doesn't happen. EVP, we go back, electronic voice phenomenon, we could hear it. With these devices, we can communicate in real time. So I turned on the ghost box and she goes, you can hear me now. It's amazing. And then she goes, can you hear me? And you can tell it's a little girl's voice. And it gives me, I got goosebumps right now thinking about it. But, you know, in future investigations, I think her name is Deborah, because we got Deborah that night. And she was playing with the cat ball. And future investigations, we're going to try to reach out to Deborah and calm her for whatever situation that she's in. We don't feel that we can move spirit on. You know, we're not God. We are a faith-based investigation group, but we're not God. We can't move. If God wanted them to move on, he would do it himself. But what we do with our work is try to calm spirit, calm them in their existence. And, you know, I think we do a pretty good job of it.
One of the things Jared said when he was just talking here is the review on this. Each video clip, as he says, is 10 minutes long. You sit there and you listen for 30 minutes and you hear nothing. And it starts getting really tedious. You're like, I'm done. I just want to skip to the next one. Nothing happens here. And then you catch that one. So you guys have all seen the paranormal shows on TV, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, you know, all of them. And it is back-to-back action nonstop. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, especially people who do this as I mean, it's a hobby for us, but to me, it's more of I call it a jobby, because we treat it like a job, but it's also our hobby.
Passion.
That as well. They think you just walk into a location and you're going to get evidence right away. You're going to hear everything and see everything. It doesn't happen like that.
Just like
there's a lot of
last week.
yeah, there's a lot going into a location, sitting there, and you don't catch anything. It's when you go back and you listen to the hours and hours and hours of audio, video, things like that, and hopefully you're, you know, ADD don't kick in and you start doing something else or whatever. I have to put my phone across the room when I review, because I start wanting to play games and everything.
We were at the 2 Mile House. I'm sure everybody here knows the 2 Mile House, right? We were at the 2 Mile House, and typically I go on my gut feeling. I'm not a medium or a psychic.
So you guys speak up.
I'm not a medium or a psychic, but I go on my gut. And I was very, very excited for the 2 Mile House. However, I think our relationship with the 2 Mile House folks needs to be worked on. I'm not saying they're not there. I know they're there. We got some interaction that proves that they were there, but they did not want anything to do with us. And we always talk about build a bridge of communication. That's the thing. You go back to locations multiple times, you can build the bridge of communication with the spirits that are there. And they did not want that bridge built.
You know, 2 Mile House was interesting because of the fact, I walk in and I'm like, oh, I feel like, and I actually had my son with me when we did the walkthrough, because him and I just grabbed dinner real quick. And what was it? I sensed that there was like a little girl there, and she wanted to talk to him. You know, he's 14 years old. She wanted to talk to him. Like, he's not coming back. He's staying at the hotel playing video games. And when we came back, it was definitely a different atmosphere, I would say, the way you felt it. Similar as if you guys invite somebody in your house, they're welcome, but somebody just walks in your house, you don't want them there, like, what are you doing here? You know, like my wife wants to have a welcome mat in front of our house. I want to go away mat, you know? So it's all about being welcoming where you're at, and you want to build that communication. I'm not going to walk into your house if you don't invite me, you know, and if you're like, if I walk in, like, hey, you need to leave, all right, I'll leave and try to come back later on. You got it working now?
I don't know. I'm trying to see what we can do over here. I'm going to need my charger though. Work with us, folks. I'm sorry this is happening. Plug this thing We might go over a little bit 4 o'clock. Is that okay with everybody?
Does anybody have any questions real quick while I'm just trying to fix
it's
this out?
open panel too, if you want to talk about.
About any equipment that we use or
paranormal
anything?
experiences.
We ever went to War College?
Excuse me?
We ever out to Carlisle Barracks, War College?
No, man. So this is our first time up in Carlisle. So actually, well, let me give you a quick history on me. So, gosh, it was maybe about 10 years or so ago, I did my first paranormal investigation on a public tour. And this guy on Facebook posted something from the place by us by BWI Airport, the Benson Hammond House. And I was like, you know what, it's kind of funny because that room looks really, I got some feelings about this room. And I messaged him like, hey, I know this is going to sound crazy, that room you're going to get a lot of interaction in. And I let it go at that. I just got a thumbs up, as a reply back. And I'm like, that guy thinks I'm crazy, whatever. So Monday, I'm at work, and where I work as in a secure facility, so I don't get a cell phone signal during the day. I'm on my way home, and all of a sudden, my phone blows up with 5 Facebook messages. And it's that guy saying, hey, you won't believe what happened. We're doing a public tour. Do you want to be a part of it? I can save you a spot. And because I hadn't replied, there's another message like a couple hours later, like, hey, what's going on? Are you there? And it was Jarrett messaging me like, hey, do you want to go? I'm like, yeah, I do want to go. So I go out with them, and no history whatsoever other than seeing stuff on TV. And these guys decide they're going to leave me in a room by myself with a spirit box. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I'm not scared, guys. I'm an Army veteran myself, was overseas and everything. No, nothing scares me. Meanwhile, I'm like, I am scared out of my pants right now. Because everything that I'm saying is coming across that spirit box very clear. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So, Jared and Pasadena Paranormal at the time kind of disbanded for a few years. There was another group I followed, Antietam Paranormal. They were looking for members, but they're an hour and a half, 2-hour drive away from me. I'm like, oh, that's too far for me to go. I know, we came to Carlisle from Baltimore. So. But there was another group that was up in Northeast Maryland, northeast corner of Maryland, Rising Sun, called Maryland Society for Psychic Research, and they comment, hey, if there's anybody over this way, let me know. Well, I live in Glen Burnie, Baltimore, whatever you want to call it. I work in Aberdeen, so I'm almost up there anyway. I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm interested. So I started investigating with them. Well, introduced 2020, and everything, goes crazy. So we can't get any locations, we can't investigate, nothing like that. Well, I'd already bridged a relationship with the Benson Hammond House with the other team and run paranormal tours for them.
Okay.
So Jared contacted me and goes, hey, you think we can get in there? You and I do a walkthrough? I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can't get in there. So, that was supposed to be like a one-time investigation with Jared and everything. We'll review the evidence, see what's out there and everything. Well, then Jared gets a hold of Brent, and Brent's like, hey, I want back in. And Jared's like, hey, you want to freelance on the side from the other team with me? I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. Now, the other team has priority because they brought me into the field first and everything like that. And then next thing I know is that we're running full force, boots to the ground, getting into all these locations, and investigating all these different places. So that's how I came on the Pasadena Paranormal. A lot of the investigations we do are centered around the BWI airport area, outreach a little bit here and there. So, like Sean said, he was down in Howard County. We did, their building down there, I can't remember the proper name of it.
The Howard County Historical Society Museum.
And then Sean came up here and
Which ironically enough is now a children's museum.
And I want to get back to that place because that place is highly active. I love the weird building. Oldest standing structure in Elk City, right?
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful old building.
And we're going to try and get into some other locations up here as well.
Yeah.
So we're not done with Carlisle. We are just starting with Carlisle.
I love the town of Carlisle. I do. I love coming up here. Jackie loves coming up here. She's a Pennsylvania girl. It's a beautiful town. Historic, right up my alley. Hopefully we can get into the old Cumberland County Jail, right? And the old Cumberland County Courthouse and the Fire Hall Museum over that way. I'd love to get over there. All right, here we go. Cool. We'll improvise here. Sweet. So Jack, You'll hear the spirit here after he touched Jackie's leg. Where is it? Here.
You passed it.
Can you hear that? Did anybody have any plug-in speakers?
The other option is moving it on.
Moving it onto this computer? All right, now like the file? We can do that. So what's? All right. Want to take a 5 minute while we do that? Because we're going to
Yeah, I
have
guess
it
we
down.
have to. I apologize, everyone.
Sorry, folks, we're having technical difficulties. I mean, if we can't hear what's going on, it's not
Hey guys, so we're gonna take like 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to run, restroom break, drinks, whatever, go do that real quick, and we'll be back soon. Yeah, you did speak too early, Brent. So,
Jared, are we switching over to our laptop?
Brent, you're the tech guy. Why aren't you here, man?
Yeah, Brent, we could use that.
Yeah, that's what I'll have to sign it. And actually, if you have a drive, if you have a drive, I can put it on the drive.
I think we'll probably be switching over to your laptop. So now.
Yes, I think so.
It's, I don't think it's, we had to check.
Yeah, if you got a thumb drive, just let it out. Here. So, I'm going to go take a quick vape.
Of course you are.
And again, folks, if you want to check out our YouTube channel, I'll put the entire video from today. There's also what we call our case like raw unedited video from our investigation. We like to call it the purple brown. Because Robert up there was with me.
Oh, sorry.
And then Wendy's.
Oh, that there is.
I just even want my music chair.
It's not that I'm trying to keep this from.
Yeah. I guess it No. Brent's lets you hang out in the chat is all.
Because he was saying, oh, Brent won't do it in the chat.
No. Hey, you guys know where Jarrett went to? One guess. Yep, a vape break.
And he's probably pacing.
He probably, Jarrett's walking back and forth. Oh God. Oh God.
good to go.
Apologize for the technical difficulties. Much of it came from us trying to use Jared's laptop, so we switched over to our equipment. We should not have any more technical difficulties.
Technology.
It also could be paranormal. I'm not ruling that out. There you go.
What are you feeling, Ed?
I don't think it is. It's that half of the building. I already told you that. See Brent's comment. He'll be drinking tonight.
Oh, I know.
Test.
You get your shirt.
We already heard the footsteps, right?
All right, see if he'll play louder this way, because it's
All right,
kind of weird.
we'll see if they'll be a little bit better here.
Can that get turned up at all? Does it volume go louder?
You can actually hear the echo of the hard sole hitting the wood. That's what we call a solid capture. So here's Jackie. Flashlight coming on.
You touch me on my back.
Huh? Anything of that? Something just touched my name. Again. That's a guy saying that felt good. Pretty clear, right? You gotta remember, again, the odd fellows were Gentleman's Hall, and, Jackie made her, she was there, this woman.
You can hear in a box where it does it 3 times.
No,
too, so.
that echo coming through is our setup for our ghost box. It's the echo delay pedal. It's a guitar pedal. So once the response, you see a lot of people out here using ghost boxes with the antenna and all you hear that static. It's not helping real-time communication. So we decided to put together a new device that helps real-time communication. It helps all of the time that we have out on investigation, making it better for communication with spirit. And I like the flashlight that comes on afterwards, almost like a confirmation. All right, here's the little girl. She's coming up next. You can hear that echo. That was a response that we couldn't make out. You hear that? Can you hear me now? That was a response trying to come through. But if you actually listen close, right after the little girl says, "Hear me now," if you listen close, it's not coming through the ghost box. I feel it's an EVP. It says Prince of Power. Listen close. Right as soon as her echo stops, it says Prince of Power. Now what that means, I don't know if that is a Oddfellows thing, possibly. But it's very, very interesting things we need to look into. Maybe that was something from this lodge, a word that they like to use. Listen close. Prince of Power. So, one right here, it is Jackie and Desiree in the Great Hall. Me, Brent, and Ed are in the speakeasy doing a spirit box session, a ghost box session, and it's just Jackie and Des. And there's an EVP captured here, electronic voice phenomenon, that nobody heard at the time it was recorded. Again, there's another camera behind this one that did not capture the voice. This is the only camera that captured the voice. Almost like it's screaming. It has a little echo to it though. Now this one was where Ed told us to set the camera up in the landing, and you'll be able to see why. Somebody wants to play with this camera and there's nobody on that floor. Like they flipped the camera. It's great. I'll tease. So we've got very good equipment that doesn't fail. You know, they don't fail. Spend a lot of money on that equipment to not pop like that. EVPs typically you're going to have to listen with headphones on. I tried my best to bring that one out. It's there. So, part of our investigations, we like to get interactions with devices like the flashlight that Ed was talking about. We also, who has a cat? Anybody got a cat? You know the little light up balls that you turn it on and the cats mess around with. Does your ball ever turn on by itself? No, they don't turn on by themselves, but you got to touch them with them. So right here, we have a cat ball, and this is in the same room that we got the interaction with the, can you hear me now, little girl. This is before we figured out she was Deborah. But you know, I've had that cat ball at my house and just turned it on. It doesn't turn on by itself. And it's on carpet, right, Ed?
Yeah.
It's on carpet, it's on a nice, steady surface. And, cool.
Very nice. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna say this real quick. Yeah, that's all. When you get there tonight, that big stuff's going on. I just got an answer. And all of a sudden that comes on. Thank you, Robert. Is this Robert who said it? Oh.
It's not Robert.
Thank you. He did. Thank you, he did.
I got a little excited. A little excited, sorry.
I'm ready for that. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, that thing's just going and going and going. Somebody's playing. Oh, yeah.
Out there, it just ain't sharing. It's an anchor.
It didn't say Jared.
Out there, it just ain't sharing.
He hit the floor.
Out there, it just ain't sharing. It's an anchor.
It's that same little girl talking that said, can
Pause
you
it
hear
for
me?
a second. Pause it for a
Out
second.
there,
So one of the things I was talking about on the review, right, is you sit there for hours and hours and you're waiting and waiting. Sometimes you get great visual stuff like this. You're like, hey, cool. You make a little note about it. And other times you get this down through the echo box or the EVP. Now, you saw Brent right here. Brent's like, that said Jared. So we know somebody heard something there, but now we gotta go back and listen to it. And it's not just like, oh, no, it said me to the Lord. No, it's going back, I don't hear Jared. Now what am I hearing? And you probably spend about 5 minutes of your time reviewing and highlighting and trying to capture that. When I review personally, I don't enhance anything. I want to hear it plain as day as it is. And when I hear it, I make a note of it. And I take all my notes, type them up, and I send them over to Jared or Brent, whoever's doing the documentary, because those guys are whizzes with that. I can barely open it up in an Excel sheet, honestly. So, but they use a program and they enhance everything. Like, hey, this is, yeah, you got something there. This is what you got. So, again, all the time that you spend seeing what's on TV, they are there for days at a time trying to capture. We're here for a few hours, trying to do stuff. And that one little clip probably was about 5 minutes worth of review, breaking it down, enhancing it, just on one person.
Yeah.
Did you review this one? Is this your review?
This was Brent's review.
Okay, so Brent reviewed this one, played it down, then he's got to send it over to Jared. Jared's got to hear it. Then he's got to send it to us, and or send it over to me, and I got to be like, oh yeah, okay, I hear that. Or, I don't think that's what it says, guys. So as Jared said, it's a 3-person process to break the stuff down and say, yeah, I agree with that, or no, I don't agree with that. And it's not just a whole sit down, watch 10 minutes of video. Oh, there was nothing there. 10 minutes, it would easily turn into an hour.
No, that's why we did the investigation July 11th, and we're still trying to put together the documentary.
I'm still trying to review. I've been dragging. I'm sorry.
But I feel Deborah was she's before the Oddfellows time. I think she was around here before the Oddfellows time, so before. Sean, what year did you say they took over? 1843. In that building? I think Deborah was possibly before 1843. And from what the reader was saying, we feel Deborah may have been drowned in that bathroom. Again, have to look into that. I had to take that out because somebody heard it.
So I was sitting here, and honestly, was it through this door? The bathroom is right there, and Jackie and Desiree were in the bathroom, and I'm thinking maybe they're not getting nothing, and Jackie came to the door just to mess with me right there, because I literally heard, and I looked.
I remember.
That's why it skips right there, because I don't have a filter a lot of times. You guys are very lucky you get to hear it today. So,
I had to take those words
yeah,
out.
I reacted to it. Typical thing is, somebody shocks you, and.
And the room, like when Ed reacted to that, the room, like you could feel the aura in the room grow. I was like, I had goosebumps from head to toe. It was great.
Jared actually, he walked through, he's like, she's not here. And I'm like, I know she ain't that quick to run back over there real quick. So he went into the room to talk to them. Like, it wasn't us, we didn't say anything.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely hear it's drawn out too. I don't know if it's Deborah. I don't know if it's Deborah or somebody else. It's like, and I'll tell you, it was hot that night. I had to take that.
It was the girl that just, it was the woman that just got up in the head, the whispers on the head of the door. Who was that woman?
This is clear.
Robert, have you said your name?
Not yet, not yet. That was an EVP, wasn't for the box.
I broke up over it, as my brain processed it.
flashlight, we're using that for communication. I saw the flash and I seen the K2 spot.
Flashlight.
Did you sacrifice the animals in this room?
I seen the flicker on that K2, guys. Very small. It's going to the green every now and then, second green.
Did you sacrifice people? Right there it says, friendship, love, and truth. That's what we stood for, right? You nut somebody in the back like that, nothing. We're just trying to communicate with you here.
A young woman saying run away.
Nothing. We're just trying to communicate with you here. Turn this light on.
The acoustics in that room, it's very, very easy to hear if a DVP was to happen. I did not hear that at the time, only on review, but the acoustics brought it out. And you know, like I said, we're faith-based here, Brent. You know, we got the did you sacrifice humans on this altar, which I find it hard to believe, but I mean, you know, it's a secret society. Who knows? Maybe they were willing. But this is the depiction, and Brent gets into it a little bit here.
This painting is a mural on the wall. Hold on. I haven't asked it yet. Turn that light back off. Turn it off. You know what I'm gonna say. Turn it off for me. Alright, let me say it. This mural on the wall, I can't say that I knew what the painter was trying to think. I can tell you what it reminds me. It reminds me of Abraham and Isaac walking up the mountain right before Abraham goes to sacrifice Isaac by the command of the Lord. Is that accurate? Is that what this is depicting?
K2 flicker.
Just to clarify, you turn that flashlight on, that's a yes to Brent's answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Turn it off now.
Please.
Thank you. So that's some of what we've got so far with the investigation. There's a lot more I could show you my computer.
Actually, can we go back to something else on here?
Yeah.
Go back to the clip where my name was said. I want to point something out there. Hold it up right there. That's good right there. Just pause it. All right. So you guys have heard about orbs before, right?
Yes.
Dust balls, things like that. It could be a dust ball, it could be a bug, it could be a flash, it could be anything.
gotta
So
remember
you saw
we're
it, didn't you?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Brent's got a camera over here. This is meant to pick up IR light from this camera. So when you see, watch behind Jared here, you're gonna see orbs moving around. Go ahead, play that.
What you don't know, this is also in pitch blackness. Like this, there's no lights in here except for what's coming in from the outside. We work in total darkness. So what you're seeing here with this purple hue, that is a full spectrum camera with infrared lighting. So we can't really see in front of us. I can see movements like shadows darker than what, you know, the area is, but this is in total darkness right now.
So if you look up behind Jared here, you'll see two orbs that move around.
There's a few, I mean, there was a wedge right there at the top.
There it is, right at the top there. Okay, so you guys can see them up there. So we can't say that is 100%. Oh yeah, that's supernatural.
Is that those white lights you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. Me
Yeah.
personally, I debunk orbs right away, or I don't give orbs any accreditation because there's so much. Again, Brent's got a IR light over here that's flashing. It could be catching the right tone of paint or something over there, wallpaper, whatever. You got these two lights out here, or these two windows here. There could have been a car backing out of a spot, whatever could play a part in it. So there's so many things that an orb can be, and not to mention the fact we're moving around in this room.
Infrared light is very reflective as well when you have dust particles floating in it. So when somebody, has a video and they say, oh, look at this orb, and then you have to say, hey, what did you do to classify that as an orb?
Yeah,
Right?
it's very hard to sit there and say, oh yeah, that's paranormal because it's an orb. Some people love them. If you use it to get yourself into some other evidence, great. But if you're relying on that and say, yeah, I got this, you got a question. There's some groups on Facebook, some of them are close to this area. I won't mention the town, but you can probably guess what I'm talking about, where they have pictures they put up, and people put them up and like, oh, look at this orb. No, dude, that's the light reflecting all of that. No, it's not you. And this is my favorite one. You're not meant to see it.
Don't lock the windows so you can get less of that outside light.
So we don't always know what we're walking into.
Exactly. I
With
didn't
things like
know-
this, and in order to block out all the windows that were in this location, it would take a lot of stuff.
I
So,
didn't walk this location until, 1 o'clock that day?
Oh, you just
when
go
we
in there
came
and
up?
start doing it right then?
No,
so the chance of-
we're down in Pasadena. I didn't come up and do a thorough walkthrough.
Oh, okay.
But we did do a walkthrough earlier in the day, but
and that's one of the things that we said, we look at where we set up at and take all this stuff into account, so we can eliminate that kind of stuff.
yeah, we've done that in the past typically what we do down in Maryland is when we have an investigation, I go and do a site walkthrough weeks before, and then we come up with a game plan. Up here, we didn't do that because, we're an hour and 45 minutes away.
You said this is pitch black. You see his reflection in the window.
Yes.
That's because of the IR, it's
That's
picking
because
up
of
that
the
light,
infrared
but that light is only like a purplish light, and you can only see about this far away from the camera.
Yeah, infrared lighting.
So
is,
that is enough to get a reflection.
You ever see your, like a ring camera, how it's a black and white at night, but during the day it's actual color? These cameras work the same way. If you were to take a flashlight during the day and shine at that light, it's not gonna make much of a reflection, but at night, because it's using a different filter, it's gonna blind that camera out. That's how these are set, we're not meant to see, the cameras are meant to work at night, but it's not your eyeball, so.
These cameras right here actually are static cameras. We've modified them to be full spectrum. They're supposed to be regular cameras. I took the IR filter out of it to have it only see in ultraviolet and infrared lighting.
And the other thing too, that was it, you saw Brent and Jarrett were in the Great Hall, and they got the EVP. So I said earlier, you got a lot of people that are walking the street and everything making noise. We can say that wasn't somebody on the street because as soon as somebody makes a noise that we can hear with our ears, we're like, oh, that was this, that was that. I mean,
That was me.
if it's somebody passing gas, because it happens, stomach growls are great on camera. I mean, it sounds like there's a demon in there, and you're like, oh, and it's just like, oh, that's me. That's the McDonald's I had earlier, or hey, I'm hungry because I've been here for 5 hours.
I was on a podcast with a guy, and he was doing an interview with us, and he said his team went out and had Mexican before the investigation. And his buddy had this very bad stomach growl, and they thought it was a demon there for like 3 hours. 3 hours, and then he finally came out and said, sorry, man, that was me. It was that burrito.
But that's all I have on the video, so if we want to.
All right. Well, coming up, we're like I said, we're going to try to get up here and broaden our reach up in what is southern Pennsylvania still, or central?
South Central Pennsylvania.
South Central Pennsylvania. But yeah, we want to come up and, like I said, I love that fire hall over there. Something's just saying. But we will be back hopefully in March to investigate the Oddfellows again, because I feel that we need to reach out to Deborah a little more. That little girl, she really, the next morning, it really stuck with me when I got a call from Desiree.
What makes you think Deborah came before the office?
I can answer that one.
I'll pass that to the team sometime.
So, Desiree and I, we went down on that second level and we're in a stairwell and we were doing something in there. A lot of the apps that you're able to download on your phone are worthless. Some of them you get something with and then you build on what you have. So Desiree downloaded an app on her phone. I trust her knowledge. Like if Derek tells me, hey, I used this and it worked, I trust him on it. Desiree downloaded an app. She said she's got some results with it, so we started using that. And we were picking up a man and a woman, and what we believe that they had worked in the building previously. They were married, but there was also a woman who worked in the building with the man, and he was starting to have an affair with that woman.
And they were speaking
Russian,
wasn't it?
German. It was German. So, and we actually brought Jackie down there, and Jackie speaks fluent German, and they stopped speaking for us. So we, the name Deborah, we were kind of getting across at that time. It's more or less a gut instinct kind of feeling that you're working with to go on. We believe it may have been a child of the family, possibly, if things went wrong. Again, this is our first time in here, so you go into a location the first time, you figure out what's going on, and then you build on from that. You ain't leaving me, are you?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say, man. But as Derek said, Desiree went and took these. Her name's Kendra out of Gettysburg. I trust her instinct on it. And Desiree showed her pictures, and she's like, oh. And apparently she started shaking real bad, and she's like, something bad happened in that room. It was the same room Desiree and I walked in. We're like, this room does not feel right.
Was it the room where the kitchen was?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
You know, when I walked in that kitchen, I have to tell you, my whole body just covered with
That's honestly.
goosebumps.
And actually, I had never seen the building, knew nothing at all about it. And I told Jared, we do a live chat every Friday night on our YouTube channel. And we were talking about coming up here. I'm like, is there a fireplace in that building? And Jared's like, I don't know. Why? I was like, I got a feeling it's a fireplace. There's something bad's going on in there. Well, there's not a fireplace in there, but there is a stove. And I'm like, that's not right. I'm like, and it took me a few minutes like to put the two and two together there. Or I'm like, wait, that's a stove. So maybe I'm not picking up fireplace, I'm picking up the stove, but that was definitely the heebie-jeebie room of the house more than anything.
I was just telling Sean that, adding you to the team was very good. Plus, you're a news fan.
Yes, I am.
That always puts points of thing. Do we have any questions for the team?
I have one question. The cat light that's on the floor, okay,
Yep.
does that have an on-off switch?
It does have an on-off switch.
And it was in what position?
It's
At
on.
top.
It was
So
on.
the cat ball is a small ball, probably about yay big, and it's got a push button switch on top.
It's got
So
a
when it
red
switches
switch.
up, the ball's not gonna roll around. When you push it on, the switch sits flat or flush with the ball, so the ball can roll however it needs to. So what we do here is we turn it on, we set it so that the switch is up, so that there's nothing else that can touch it. So that ball has to get movement to come on. And it doesn't take a whole lot to make it go all of it on, but you do have to give it enough. I mean, you can't just sit there and go like that. You have to actually give it a little bit of force to make it come on and off.
And in Laurel, we did an investigation in Laurel Historical Society, which was an 1840 mill home from the Horace Capron time. Ed and Jackie actually seen the ball move before it came on. So something touched it and moved it, and then it came on. So
And what
In this case, the ball did not move.
it did not move at all, it just came on. And like I said, I test all of our equipment. I'll have it running at the house, just like the Echo Box. I'll let that thing run for hours, no responses come through. Leave the cat balls on, nothing happens until my cat touches them.
this is one of the
That's
things
not supposed to
too,
turn on by itself.
is this is sitting on the carpet, so there's not a whole lot to move it. It's not like it's sitting on the wood, it's not sitting on one end or whatever. Brent is taking a couple of steps around, but it's not enough where it's really gonna affect it. If Brent was moving around and caused that to go off, the ball should roll itself.
You can also see later on with in the documentary, I might put that in there, but I stand next to it on the rest.
Yeah.
Nothing happens, nothing comes
Yeah, we always try to debunk it. And same thing with the flashlights. The flashlights, if you walk across, vibration can make the table rock, whatever, and they go on and off. So then we try to sit there and say, okay, wait, you just walked past it, that set it on and off. So we always try to recreate what happened with our actions that were going on at the time, so we can sit there and say evidence or no evidence.
When in doubt, throw it out.
You had a question, ma'am?
Hold on, he wasn't done.
Oh, sorry.
Does the large box, okay,
That's the ghost box.
yeah, does that emanate any kind of a frequency at all?
It is a radio.
It is a radio.
It is, it's a,
So it's ascending, just a strictly ascending radio?
it's a
Receiver.
receiving,
Receiver,
but it doesn't have an antenna.
okay.
It's, it basically, you take the, you take it apart and you break the little turn knob and basically switch through stations. And you take the antenna out. It's just white noise.
You'll see some people use it without taking all that out, and
I don't
you'll
like
get
that.
what we're calling radio bleed, where you hear, hey, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday,
Yeah.
like, that's not a ghost telling us to come to the Monster Jam.
I have a question. So, and you and I have had this conversation. I'm skeptical. I try to find other reasons for the weird things that I've experienced. I will say that anything that as I said in my opening, I've worked in historic buildings for 22 years. And I've always found that there's something weird, creepy, whatever. But anything that I've found is unexplainable always is some kind of an electrical anomaly. I had an issue once in one of the museums that I ran. It was actually at the Historical Site Museum, which was in an old Presbyterian church. It was around the holidays, and we had a Christmas tree up on the stage in the church. And we would turn the lights on during the museum, when the museum was open. It was Sunday. I left the museum and I turned the tree lights off. I came back on Monday because I had to get something out of the museum, and I walked in, and the Christmas tree lights were on. And I just went, I could have sworn I turned those off. Turned them off, went down to the basement, got what I needed, came back up, the lights were on again. And that was probably the strangest thing I've ever, but I walked out going, it's electrical. By the way, I unplugged. And I said, oh, it's just got to be electrical. So explain to me the electronical anomalies and how electricity seems to somehow be connected to these incidents.
I'll let you handle that.
All right.
If you can.
Yeah, I can. Everything in the universe is you know, frequency, you know, RF, EMF, things of that nature. The manipulation of the white noise created by the ghost box. If, EVP is supposed to be a vibration in the EMF to create word. They don't have vocal cords. They vibrate through fluctuations of energy to create words. Same thing with the ghost box, only a manipulation of radio frequency.
Yeah, that was my line of questioning, because I'm not being a skeptic.